It is July 24th at 7 PM. This is the regular meeting of the Planning Zoning Board of Appeals, Prospect Heights, Illinois, at 8 North Elmhurst Road. Jen, could you please call the order?
Roll call. Chairman Kempa is absent by prior notice. Commissioner DeGraff.
Here.
Commissioner Patel is absent by prior notice. Commissioner Saywert. Here. Commissioner Weigel.
Here.
Commissioner Simmons.
Here.
Commissioner Mashevsky.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right. Before any other business, as Chairman Kempa is absent by notice, we do need to elect the Chair Pro Tem and nominations for.
I'll make a nomination to nominate Commissioner Saywood to be.
I'll second it. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Mashevsky.
Aye.
Commissioner Weigel.
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons.
Aye.
And Commissioner Saywert, do you accept?
Aye. Yes.
Thank you very much, Chairman Pro Tem Saywert.
It's your meeting, Chair.
Okay. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes.
That's going to be fun.
We don't know it anymore.
Okay, so the first order of business tonight is the approval of the June 26, 2024 minutes. Are there any corrections or modifications? I have one comment, just that it was noted in the footnote that it was a special meeting, but I believe it was our regular meeting.
Okay, I'll take that out.
And if there aren't any other corrections or modifications, if I could get a motion for approval?
I'll make that motion.
A second?
Roll call?
Commissioner Mashevsky.
Aye.
Commissioner Weigel.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons.
Aye.
And Chairman Pro Tem Saywert.
Aye. So next on the agenda is old business. There being none, we'll move on to the new business. Our first item is PZBA Public Hearing Variation Case Number ZBA 2409V, the applicant being Siegfried Liepertz on 106 West Ridge Avenue. And a description of the request is as follows. The petitioner is seeking consideration of a variation to allow a reduction in the required front yard from 40 feet to 28.5 feet to construct a front porch addition onto a legal non-conforming primary residence in the R1 Single-Family Residential District required by Section 5-6-1E1 of the City of Prospect Heights Zoning Code. If I could please get a motion to open the public hearing for ZBA 24-09V at 7:06.
I'll make that
I'll
motion.
second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so at this time, I would like to swear in anybody here that would like to testify for or against or speak to this case. And I can do everybody at the same time. So if you raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Okay, first, if Director Peterson could give us some comments on this case, and then you'll have your chance to speak.
Thank you much, Chairman Seward. This is a legal non-conforming property as it was developed in Cook County, and can we get this up there? Got to scroll down to see the bottom. It's up there. Thank you. Back when this property was developed, it was developed under the Cook County standards and only had a 30-foot front yard setback. When the city became a city, we have a 40-foot. Thus, the house is conforming to the original standards, but is non-conforming currently. Therefore, he'll testify to the proposed addition, but the hardship is met on the legal nonconformity of it, the unique nature of the property. Thank you.
So, Director Peterson, if you could just clarify, for a front yard setback, what is allowed in a front yard setback? You can do, obviously, the driveway, the sidewalk, front stoop.
The garden, a small garden bed, but expanding on the nonconformity, in addition to the house, a front porch, an improved patio system, that's encroaching into the required 40-foot front yard. So the proposal that you'll hear tonight is for a remodel and an addition to the house, in which the petitioner is planning to expand and add a front porch and a front stoop up to the 30-foot building line. I think if we go down the next slide. So this will be exhibit number 10. I did this today just to clarify the area of the, where the variation is going. Get a clicker at the bottom one, right? So this is the area in question. The main house that's existing comes up to the 30-foot line, then it steps back to almost the 40-foot line. So they're adding a new porch, new patio, covered front porch, and then the front stoop of that, or the area of the front porch, comes about approximately 18 inches into the 30-foot front yard. So it's basically a foot and a half past what they were originally approved under Cook County rules to build. So that's the extent of the.
So on our site plan, we had 31 feet to the face of the building, or I think it was 30 feet, actually, or it had like a 1-foot setback. So is this not correct, then?
No, the house, on the plat of survey, it was platted originally with a 30-foot front yard setback, okay? The house was built at 31 feet back, so they were compliant by a foot.
Right.
An extra foot. So within this area, it's just the proposal of the covered porch now expands what's there, and this is one of those issues that we talked about previously where, you know, the property had been platted, they're staying within the boundaries of the original plat, but because it doesn't meet our current code, they're required to come here. It does meet the building setbacks of all the other homes. There's consistency of the front building lines within the block. It does not come further into the block than other houses, so it's a minor setback. I hope
Okay.
that answered your question.
So if we could hear then from the applicant, if you could state your name and address for the record, and whoever would like to come first.
Sure. Hi, my name is Siegfried Leppertz, 106 West Ridge. I go by the name of Ziggy. And the whole purpose of what I'm trying to do here is not necessarily for aesthetics, okay? Yes, it is going to look much nicer with a larger or covered porch, but we currently have a porch area there now that is uncovered, and we're looking to bring over a covered porch area for the purpose of having the enjoyment of sitting outside, okay? The whole thing, my mom recently, we lost her to dementia, and one of the things that made me realize is how just how my house was not set up to have someone in a wheelchair. I couldn't get her in the house, around the house, so on and so forth. So part of the purpose of remodeling this is to make it very accessible for wheelchair, whether, you know, coming up the front, coming into the rear of the home, and having more of an open floor concept, a walk-in shower area. My father's 89 years old. He's still very spry. He outworks me to this day. But that being said, I'm kind of trying to plan for the future, okay, whether it be for him, for my mother and father-in-law, for me someday, or for anybody. And that is the main goal. So it's really, like we say, it's about a foot and a half towards the street side. And that's the main purpose of this. It's not necessarily the aesthetics. We have a good friend of ours also who is handicapped, and we want to make it more welcoming so they can come in very easily. And that's the whole purpose. I thought if we're going through this type of build out, why not just try to really think everything through? And that's the main purpose of this. And the other thing is, growing up in Chicago, we spent a lot of time on our front porches. When I moved out here, while I love our big backyards, it's not as welcoming. I like to sit outside, see the neighbors, and I think that's the other thing that I think will change our lives. But the accessibility from a wheelchair standpoint, I think, is probably the main aspect, along with aesthetics, obviously. And that's really my main goal here.
So is that front step actually a slope, or do you have steps?
It's a brick paved area kind of right now, and there's a step area to get, there's 2 steps to get into the house then. And so we kind of want to be able to, with the front doors that will be now going into either the main entrance of the house or also the door next to it, which would then go into the master or the bedroom. So now we can easily get in and out anyways. So it's multifunctional, but the whole purpose of this zoning appeal.
Thank you.
Sure.
Good evening. I'm Paul Rogner, the architect. Just building on one of the things that Ziggy was saying as far as that transition into the home, by creating this front porch, what we're doing is, instead of having several steps right in a row, we're kind of breaking that up a little bit, and giving them the ability, if they need to do something in terms of a ramp or something at some point, it'll be a little easier to do that. The current home, the current ranch home, when you pull up to it, you really can't see where the front door is. So one of the things that we're looking to do with the front porch, I don't know if you have the elevation drawings.
No, I did not.
We have them.
But to give the front porch the appearance so that you actually know where it is. We used a lot of restraint in not trying to build out too far from that existing building line, but give the front entry point just a little bit of prominence, frame with those 2 columns, so that it projects further forward. And I think all of 1.5 feet is all we're doing, just so that it has that aesthetic, so that when you pull up or you walk up, you know where the front door is, unlike the current scenario where it's kind of tucked around back behind a corner and you really wouldn't even know by looking at the home where the front door is. The other thing too, that we were very conscious of when designing this, and again knowing that we were going to need to ask for a variance, was that we didn't have any major 2-story walls that you're looking at, and we were trying to soften the idea of a 2-story home by bringing the roof lines down to that first floor eave line, so that you weren't looking at a 2-story blank wall or anything like that, and it didn't have that abrupt feeling to it. It was a little bit, it reads more like a 1.5 stories with the use of the dormers and breaking it up into that respect. So those are the couple of things that we were attempting to do, so that when we're asking for a variance, we're not looking to, basically ask too much, or also to give the aesthetic for the neighborhood that is, this huge, large, 2-story home, and making it feel a little bit, smaller.
So the 18 inches you're asking for includes the overhang of the roof, too?
I believe the overhangs are just a little bit further. They project out, which is a normal foot or so from that 18-inch. The 18 inches would normally represent the building line or the foundation line, and I believe, yes, the roof line would extend out just a little bit further from that, as any roof line typically does. Come out about a foot or so.
According to the lot coverage table, that is a permitted encroachment into the front yard, the overhang or eave.
Okay.
It's, so that if it were actually not needing the variation, it would have been allowed anyway.
I'm sorry?
If the overhang of that front porch feature isn't an allowed encroachment up to, I think it's 2 feet.
It's an allowed encroachment, you said?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Does anybody have questions of the applicant?
I'm good.
So let me just see here. I'm just trying to figure out what the variation is actually for then, because it's more like we're giving a variation for your columns, because the overhang is actually allowed and the porch is actually allowed.
No, the porch is not under the current reading. That's the main reason
Oh.
they're here, because you have that 10 feet, almost 11 and a half feet on the west side of the house that was open grass coming up to the existing house, which is in that 10-foot void between the Cook County Build 2 line and our Build 2 line.
So you're not going to the 30-foot, you're going to the 40-foot for the variation?
Yes, because where it says the 40-foot
okay.
setback line, that's our current standard. So any enlargement of the nonconformity requires a variation.
I understand, that's why I was confused.
Okay, so,
Okay. And all of the residents on that street are at the 30-foot?
that is correct.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So if there is any other questions or comments for both Dan or the applicant, that would be a good time. I do think that the design was well thought out. I think it looks very attractive. You know what, even though it's a minimal variation request, we have to look for the hardship or find out what is specific to this. What are the special conditions for your property? And I think in this case, the fact that you're trying to make it handicap accessible would be where we have to kind of hang our hat on the fact that to be able to do that, you need the depth for the new front porch. So I think you spelled that out in your hardship letter, and so based on that, I would be in agreement with what you're proposing. So if there isn't any other public comments, I would like a motion to close the public hearing for 2409B at 7:21.
I'll make that motion.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Machewski.
Aye.
Commissioner Weigel.
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Chairman Pro Tem Sayward.
Aye. And then I'd like to request a motion to receive into the public record the evidence and exhibits presented for the application of 24-09B.
There will be an addition of Exhibit 10, which was the exhibit up on the screen. I had prepared that today to highlight the, what the variation ask was for. So that will be added. Thank
Okay.
you.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
And we can do a voice vote, so all those in,
No.
No, this has to be a, this has, yeah, this does have to be a roll call for acceptance.
for public record?
Yes.
Okay, so roll call vote.
Commissioner Simmons.
Aye.
Commissioner Machewski.
Aye.
Commissioner Weigel.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Chairman Sayward.
Aye. Okay, and then I would like to also request a motion to recommend that City Council approve the variation request for case number 24-09B to allow a reduction in the required front yard from, to allow a reduction in the required front yard setback from 40 feet to 28.5 feet to construct a front porch addition onto a legal, non-conforming residence in the R1 Single Family Residential District required by Section 5-6-2E1 of the City of Prospect Heights zoning code.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Weigel.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Mashewski.
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons.
Aye.
Chairman Sayward.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Due to the council's calendar for August, they only have one meeting, and that will be on August 26th. Okay. They do not have a meeting scheduled for the 12th, which would be the normal one. And at that time, we'll talk, but we will, as a unanimous vote came through on this, we will ask for a waiver of first reading at that meeting. Okay?
Thank you.
Good luck with the construction.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, the next case is actually a public meeting.
Yes. There's one more. No, there's actually one more.
Oh, I see it.
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, next case is a public meeting. It's PZBA case number P is ZBA 24-10 subdivision. The applicant is Henry and Patricia Slomes, and the address is 513 Clare Lane. The description of the request is that the petitioners own property located at 513 Clare Lane and 601 Clare Lane and have applied for a lot consolidation and a final plat to create a single lot of re-subdivision, or the Slomes Clare Estate subdivision. So at this time, I would like a motion to open a public meeting, ZBA 24-10 subdivision at 7:25.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Director Peterson, if you could.
This is a situation where Mr. and Mrs. Soames own two lots in Clare, on Clare Lane. Each lot is in a separate subdivision currently. There is a city water line that runs down the middle of this, I believe, and a utility, correct? The storm? So, Mr. Soames is here to explain why. The only comment that we have is that between now and the August 26th meeting of City Council is that we remove the word preliminary plat from the subdivision. And then we'll need new signature pages, but it's been reviewed by the city engineer and approved to meet the standards of our subdivision ordinance. And if you have any questions of Mr. Soames of why you want to take two lots and combine them as one, you can.
Would you like to speak to the case?
Well, just,
If you could please come up to the microphone.
the reasoning behind it is that that lot remained vacant forever, and it wasn't being kept, that's why I bought it. Now I feel that as long as, the length of time it has been vacant would make it probably hard to sell down the road. So if I could combine the two, and that would have it as one property, we come to sell, or when my kids need to sell it, it'll go as one unit, and I don't have to worry about that one, because it's a little bit smaller. The vacant lot's a little bit smaller than all the other lots in the area. I'm sure that's probably one of the reasons it stayed vacant so long. And then with the water line running down good all the way through the whole length of it, I'm sure is another deterrent. So basically, that's all. I just wanted to, keep the space looking good and
Do you have any plans for putting another structure on that?
No, at this point, I do not. Like I say, I would have to, about the only other thing might be an additional garage or something, but I would have to, there again, look at it if that's something that I can do. But I don't have any plans for that.
If this gets approved and if city council does approve the lot consolidation, then there can only be one primary substructure on both lots, okay? If he were to want to build a second primary structure in the second house, he'd have to go back to a subdivision to split the lots. He does benefit from the increased square footage for additional accessory structures, which he would not have to come to this body for. So, just so you're fully aware, that's you can get a more larger or accessory structure and put on there because it's will be a single lot of record. But your house is your house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Thank you.
Okay.
It looks like there was a street that must have had an easement at one time through there too, right?
At one point in time, it looks that way. It kind of dead ends right there. There is, but that's where our city water line comes through or there's a fire hydrant. It doesn't go any further from there, but I think at one point in time, they were looking at that as future possible right of way for water expansion, which didn't happen.
And all of those easements are still active, correct?
Yes. Actually, as part of this deal, there had to be new easement language added, which is part of the plat. So, but that was reviewed by Engineer Strand.
I always thought it was one lot anyway, because I've been going by there forever. I actually tried to buy that house at one time, and I was like, there's your pool. That was your built-in pool right there.
Okay, if there's no other comments or testimony, then if I could get a motion to close the public meeting, 24-10 SUB at 7:30.
I'll make that motion.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons.
Aye.
Commissioner Machewski.
Aye.
Commissioner Weigel.
Aye.
Chairman Saywert.
Aye. So that's to close the meeting, and then we need to have a motion to accept into public record the testimony that was presented for case 24-10 SUB.
I'll make that motion.
I second.
And can we do a roll call for that? Or-
Yes.
Sure.
Roll call.
Commissioner Simmons.
Aye.
Commissioner Machewski.
Aye.
Commissioner Weigel.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Chairman Saywert.
Aye. Okay, and then I would like a motion to recommend to City Council approval of case 24-10 SUB for a lot consolidation and final plat to create a single lot of record for the property at 513 Clare Lane and 601 Clare Lane, a re-subdivision.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Simmons.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Machewski.
Aye.
Commissioner Weigel.
Aye.
Chairman Saywert.
Aye.
Going forward, there's no more 601 Clare Lane. This will be as a resolution and up to the city council on Monday, August
26th.
26th.
But I need to get that preliminary.
Yeah, so he'll have to prepare a large one for signature, just like this, a full 24 by 36. You should sign the areas that you're required to, and if you need, once he does that, you can bring it in, and then we'll get our signatures from there.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God, I would love that house.
Okay, Okay, so moving along, our next agenda item is public comment. If anybody has, Jordan? Seeing no public here to comment. Previous application updates?
Just really quickly, I did meet with a small group of the people that provided the report for establishing a chicken owners group and talked about a number of different items. I am also planning on meeting with 4 or 5 residents that were here that were had concerns about the chicken ordinance. And then once, it was just a scheduling, people were on vacations and to get it, I'll meet with that side. And then if there's any significant things where we think they could work together, I'll bring them all together before our September meeting. But, I thought it was a very productive meeting in a small group format. They were not as aware of the regulatory requirements that we have to check from a city side and a zoning side and a construction side, and but they also did provide some information on issues such as inspections and potential health and safety issues with those types of things. So there was no resolution yet or any outcome from that from them, but I'm expecting to see some drafts or some other information at the next meeting that will probably, we can at least have a good discussion.
Good.
Other than that,
Do you have an update on the cell tower at all?
they were supposed to bring a tower. The plan is to put in a whole new base in the exact location where the current one is. So they're taking down, putting in a brand new base to 72 feet in height, then take the top 30 or almost 40 feet that was approved, reattaching it with all the structure. We did submit some comments to them a month or so ago and haven't seen any revisions yet. But slow but sure, they'll get their stuff together.
Thank you.
They've had some personnel changes at Crown Castle.
That mall looks like it's going along good too, that they're rebuilding that strip mall that,
Yes, 1201 to 1213 North Elmhurst Road. 50% of the tenants are remaining. We did lose a number of smaller tenants. I have been meeting with people interested in opening up some family-operated restaurants up there. The convenience store picked up a third space because the AB Nails is not coming back. A couple of the other businesses were underinsured and weren't able to come back, and then a couple other ones just couldn't wait a year to get back in and have found other locations. But it looks great. That I will tell you, this is one of the best contractors that I've worked with in a long time. Very pleasant guy, doesn't get upset on anything. He's prepared. He follows through in a timely fashion, and he does really good work.
You say who it is?
His name's Paul.
Next Gen.
Next Gen Construction.
it looks great.
Oh, I'll tell you what, and he was able to convince the insurance company that the facade needed to go too because of the structural and steel, that keeping the old plywood built steel wasn't gonna fit right, and the insurance for the mall owner recovered from the facade.
How did they meet the federal energy code?
They put in additional insulation in any place they could. Specifically on the back brick wall, they got put in anything to increase it. They didn't have to tear down wall and meet the new standard, but they had to show that they improved the performance. So they've spurred out and sprayed in and got all new glass in the storefronts, and so overall, it's a net improvement on the energies.
Do we have applications for next month for a meeting in August?
I don't think so.
What's the deadline?
Next week, because it's the 28th. I did meet with a couple of people that one of them was looking at one of the restaurant spots at Mall, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get their lease letter of intent or lease contingency figured out between now and then. Talked to a couple other people who, a couple variations potentially, but again,
Nothing definite.
yeah. And this case here is one of those prime examples that we had tonight of where I think some administrative leeway, because they're meeting the intent of how the lot was originally platted. Why are we here?
So it was confusing that because on the drawings it had the 30-foot setback line noted. So I thought the variance was from that 30-foot setback back to the new building construction, but we're actually going to the 40-foot.
Yeah, so
setback.
that's why I highlighted the site plan, because the site plan shows the 40-foot setback line on it. There show the difference between what was built originally and what we require. And 98% of this project complies with the original building envelope of that lot. You know, so at the end of the day, it's only 1.5 foot encroachment, not 11.5, but we have to look at it as an 11.5 foot encroachment based on our writing. But-
Well, and I think that was confusing maybe in the letters that had gone out, because I did hear some comments that said it's not that minimal, it's actually 11.5 feet. So, but if you look at the elevations along that street front, if they went to the 40-foot, it would be more, it would stand out even more.
Correct.
Because they're not in line anymore with the other buildings.
So this could have been one where, just take Michael Blue's example. You hit the 3 or 4 people directly across the street, you hit the couple on the other side, the 2 behind. I don't think you would have had a single opposition to this, okay? And it's in meeting with the original approvals for the build out of that lot. And so that could have been, I think, handled administratively on that part. If any of the neighbors would have objected or raised a concern, well, guess what? Now we got to come here, and then get the sign-offs from them. Because this, at the end of the day, at $9.64 a certified letter today, and you start doing it to 30 or 40 people, and it's hard when I look at it going, they're building in what was supposed to be built on that lot. It's very, but the way our code, how it's written. So I think that was, I think, the example that Michael was trying to get
Bring
to.
up, sure. And along those lines, do you know when he's going to have his proposal?
He left for vacation the following Monday, so he gets back sometime next week, and we're going to talk about deadlines. And we're going to talk about project schedule, we're going to talk about all that. I think, and I want to thank you and the council, because that was a very productive meeting. There was a lot of insight. There was, everybody was engaged in the discussion, and that was, I think, a great use of a couple of your time.
I did miss that one.
Other than that, I have no other communications or updates.
Anybody else?
Then I would like to entertain a motion for adjournment at 7:43.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
And all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. Motion is adjourned.